Hello everybody. I'm sorry I had to wait for a little bit this time. I guess a lot of people are streaming right now for Halloween. So I thought of showing you how to make some nice earrings showing, let's say, nature's bounty. Not necessarily for Halloween, but more for like fall. Where the heck did that go? Oh yeah, hold on a second, I dropped my roller. I'm trying to get it. Sorry about that. So let me say hi to everybody. Hi Darla, hi Sandra, hi Ramona, hi Lianka, hi Sharon, Karen. Well, Elaine, I'm glad you made it. Catherine, the other Karen, Sonia, and we probably will get some more. So to start with, and I promise I will sometime this afternoon post on my website the my recipe for jungle green. Hi Amelia, hi Francis. Because as we all know, it's out of it's not being manufactured anymore by Scalpi. Hi Pamela. But it is a color that we all kind of have to have coming the winter holidays, and generally speaking for everything that we might want to show with leaves and stuff. It's a much more natural color than the regular green that Premo has. Hi Liana. So before doing anything else, I'm going to make the base. Hi Colleen. The base of the earrings, and for that you can use absolutely any leaf veiner you have, and if you don't have one and want to buy one, I recommend you go on PolyClay or you check in my Amazon influencer store, because there's plenty of those. Thank you Pamela. In my Amazon influencer store you actually have the a special section for flowers and veiners and all that. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to do it twice because I thought I had more of this green, but I don't, and I didn't have time. It was too late to prepare another one. So what I'm going to do is, this is on a number 3 on the pasta machine, on a Makins. So I'm going first to prepare a veined thing. And there we go, we have it. Because it, as I said, it doesn't really matter. You can actually use, if you still have leaves in your garden, you can use that. And I know that at one point, let me actually check to see if I can find it real quick. Yes, in this one, it's one of my older videos, so the quality will not be as good as my later videos. Let me make sure that it's, hey, shut up. But I am showing in it how to get actual leaf veining, how to get leaf veining using an actual leaf. And let me share it in the live. and it is tutorial number 18, so 018, and that shows you, if you don't have a veiner, how to actually use one leaf to do that. Okay, and then I'm going to use the simple Premo cutter, the teardrop, and I'm going to cut with it, but kind of like going from the top towards the bottom. And if you do not have a garden, if you live in an apartment and you do not have a garden, let me show you how to get it without doing anything else. Okay, so your first thing to do, eyeglasses, first thing to do is put it on your palm and go like this and like this, and just press real hard, and you're gonna get some veining, right? Then cut. It's just going to make the clay more leaf-like, frankly, nothing else. And then grab whatever you want to use for doing. I'm gonna just get this pearl stuff. Just go down, but you can use practically anything. You can even use a, let's go with a toothpick. As I said before, you can do a lot of things without having to use all kinds of props and tools and things. For people who are newer to my channel, actually, I am glad you are here. Let me show you something. At one point I did, and I'm going to just go real quick over it. This is no tools. So what I used is a pencil, an eyeshadow, a can, and a needle, pretty much. So I simply cut with the can and the needle. I got it really nice with the needle, and of course I will and then I textured it with the pencil. Then with the bottom of the paintbrush I got a little blob of clay all textured, and I used, let's go directly to the end, and I used the eyeshadow to create the colors, and some more texturing with the pencil, and there it is. Pendant done kind of steampunkish, but done without any kind of tools. So let's get back to our thing. So this is the link if you want to try something similar. But so getting back to our, you can do it like this or like this, of course, or with a leaf. Just make sure that when you apply the leaf, and it says in that older video to apply the back of the leaf on the clay, not the front, because the front will have indentations, but the bottom of the leaf will have actually. So these are the equivalents of the front of the leaf and the bottom of the leaf. And you want, if you want to obtain indentations like this for the front of the leaf, you need something that will have all these areas raised so they can apply a pattern in the clay. Hi, Jess. So this would be the first thing, right? So we're gonna get a let me actually get this one too, so I can work on two earrings at the same time, pretty much, kinda, sorta. And there we go. Oh, I got that. That will teach me not to wear my eyeglasses. I got the same, the one that was already okay. So now I got two leaves, two earrings, right? So what we want to do first, before we start doing anything else, is some pumpkins, obviously. So I need to get these on the same, just to make them miniature pumpkins. Obviously, we are not going to put pumpkins. Okay, so just to make sure that I make them even. And if you remember, I did, if you look in my list for Halloween, there are some kawaii pumpkin earrings. So the size of them, it's entirely up to you. I don't want to make them too big, so I'm going to make two beads, and I need my eyeglasses. And go like this until there's no folding line, right? Because you know how you have the folding lines when you fold the clay. So this wouldn't be enough, because see, I have folding lines here. So go round and round until you get all the folding lines taken care of. Then next, and you can do this with the back of your blade. My favorite is to do this with a needle tool. So go all the way around like this, and then turn it to 90 degrees. Go all the way around, and then go in the middle of it. Oops, I messed up. Huh? I messed up? I messed up. Just that's funny, because you can do, just re-roll it and go properly. I need to look at what I'm doing, not at the screen. I know Elaine is there, so she will be the one to take care of stuff. I don't know why I've been doing this. I mean, looking at the screen instead of what I'm doing. So we got one pumpkin. Oh, I didn't do one side. And there we go. And the second pumpkin. So theoretically, only for the first line you have to go all the way around. And the other ones you can go half to half. And you can add some glitter if you want them to be more glitzy, but it's not absolutely necessary. Now, to get these properly baked, Yeah, I know. To get this properly baked, I'm going to actually make a couple little bowls. So I need them to be about the size of my leaves, but not entirely. Not totally. Okay, so you want one side to be a little bit more lifted, kind of like this. So let me do the second one. So I always use the cheapest aluminum foil here. It's the one that I get from the Dollar Tree. Of course, it's very thin, but it's only $1 and I do recycle it. Okay, so remember, we want it a little bit like this because when we are going to bake it, it's going to be slightly spoon shaped, kind of like this, slightly, not a lot. So you want to do the same on the other one. Oops. And you do this before starting to add the elements because you kind of want it to be nicely shaped already. It's harder to shape it once you have all the stuff on top of it. Okay, now in order to not deform stuff but make sure that it's going to stick, normally you wouldn't use bake and bond on raw clay, but because this is a little bit, let's not deform if we can help it. So before I do anything, I'm going to place poke a little hole here and use this to place my pumpkin, and I'll show you in a second what we do with that hole. And then poke another little hole here, so that way you can kind of ensure that your earrings will be the same. Hi Janine. Hi Carlene. Then I'm going to grab a little piece of the green and start with the bead, and then go with a little string, and I need it quite stringy and thinner than this. So I'm going to grab this and place it inside and then grab another piece and place it inside this one's hole. There we go. Now the next thing we need to do, that's okay. The next thing, let's make some corns, cobs. Okay, and again, I want them to be, if I want them to be even and symmetrical, actually on this one, on this specific one, I am going to make one and trim it, cut it in, not trim it, cut it in two. So I'm going to grab a piece of yellow, and let me see, I'm not sure if it's not too big, but if you want to make it even more realistic, you can add make it like half and half cadmium yellow and translucent. You're going to give more So let's see. It still has folding lines. Yeah, I wish I could get a bike. And I'm going to see if it's big enough or not when I'm getting it reduced like this, because I'm going to stop when I get my desired length. So this would be pretty much, so using the largest teardrop, the pumpkins are 3/8 in diameter, and this is just a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch, so it would be like 5/16. Does that make sense? But it doesn't have to be exactly perfectly like that. So I'm going to cut this down to about 1 inch length, and I'm going to taper both ends. Now this time my needle will be too thick to do anything with, so what I'm going to use is, and you can use either that or you can use the back of the X-Acto knife. I'm going to use the back of the blade. Don't make the indentations too deep. Just first make some parallel indentations in length, and I'm going to bring this in zoomed in so you can see better what I'm doing here in a second. Okay, let me refocus the camera. I know that this is kind of tiny, but okay, so this should be good. Now I'm going to grab the X-Acto knife. So you only have to worry about one of the ends, right? So what the heck is on this thing? So just bring the lines all the way down. All the lines, bring them all the way down to the top. And at this point you want to cut it. Don't try to do it before cutting it, because it's not going to be a good result. So use one of those lines, and you can actually keep it on the blade if it's easier for you. For me it is easier. So I'm going to make sure that my lines are, I use this one, this end. I need more focus, more refocus. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go, well, make sure that all my lines are nice and straight as much as I can. It's kind of hard to bring them on the camera and still work on them. And then go horizontal to get the little kernels, and I'll show you another little trick to make it look more corn-like than six-pack like. Okay, because right now it's like I just made a whole bunch of six-pack abs. Okay, and what I need to do is to come very gently with, actually I'm gonna use the toothpick, with the toothpick, and go a little between these because you want these areas to be a little rounded. And here too, why not? Oh, this is the other, it's not the top. It should look much better than what I'm doing now because it's a little difficult to not lose the camera and still be able to see what the heck I'm doing here. Okay, so this will be one. Going to take it off the blade and do the other one. So once again, make sure that I got the lines properly aligned all the way to the top. My hands don't always want to cooperate, but oh well. And then trust me, I usually do a much better job than this, but it's like my hands get tired because of the position I'm in. Because I cannot rest my elbows on the table and hold this up to my face properly. Okay, now just go gently in between to round up this. It doesn't look like a grid, you know, it looks more like corn. I think I did make at one point, and I think it was a live too, but I don't remember if it was a public or a sponsor live. Okay, thank you. And then let me refocus again. Alrighty. And then I'm going to remove this. And one more time, because I want to make sure that they stick properly, I'm going to place a little bit of bacon bond. Remember, they are symmetrical. I'm making them symmetrical. And make sure that you put the corn tip facing downwards, because on the top you're going to do a leaf. you know, the husk. Okay. I'm struggling to be able to get some PolyClay translucent, because one of my projects was to make a jewelry box on a base, but not just any jewelry box, looking like a little coffer, and on the side of it, oh god, what was his name? I just wanted to say it and I just lost it. Davy Jones. Davy Jones, and in the jewelry box, I already got the musical box with the song. Goodness, where are you selling? Okay, my next thing is obviously to make those little husks. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. So I need to make these very thin. So I went with a 9. Okay, and you can use acrylic or you can use any kind of dusty thing, but what I'm going to use is see, I'm leaving just small dabs of yellow on this. And I'm going to turn it like this and go with it through the machine again. Alright, so now some tiny husks. So I'm doing first more of an oval thing that I'm cutting in half. Each of them with the yellow in the middle. Hey, come out. When it decides to stick, it decides to stick, huh? And I'm going to place them on the corn. Guess I lost one. One went somewhere. There we go. Then what's another? Always keep in mind the fact that presentation. If it's an exhibition, then she won't have a table to sell. No, I mean, depends on what you mean by exhibition, but I know that, for example, we have here in Oklahoma City, there's the Paseo Art District, and there are some polymer clay artists exposing, but it's an exhibition, so those things are on the walls or in glass cases, and sometimes the artist is there to give indications. It's not a booth, selling booth. So if that is the case, be careful how you present it, how it is arranged. Make sure that your lighter pieces have a darker background. I don't know. It's up to you. I think it would be more of a cornolithia, because we got a cornea there. Leave a copy. But that sounds like leave a copy. So right now what I'm making is berries, okay? Or you can use some alizarin crimson with a dash of violet and translucent to make grapes. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. Just make sure that these are all nice and round. And if you want to make mold for this, you can always use, and remember I told you before that PolyClay Play Trish has gotten the berry beads that are good for texturing. I mean, if you remember, I used these to imitate the hammer on faux clay, like this, because you don't have to go with your ball stylus and go to tun, 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 tun. You just go with this, like this, and you got the whole hammer aspect there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to make a berry. So you saw I made a whole bunch of itty bitty beads, and you gently, slightly get them. Okay, this one is not rounded and this one is not rounded. Gently get them together so it would look more like a bead. And I think I need a few more here. Well, remember I was making 1 inch long fairy babies, so yes, I have a lot of attention to detail. Actually, let me grab something to show you. Oh, I almost dropped it. Some of you have seen this sculpture of mine before. It's a sculpture I call The Thing, and I never sold it. It's going to first try and show it to you like this. So it's a something eating pieces of a mushroom. And let me redo the focus so you can see the details. Okay, so you remove the thing. The mushroom is not very happy. Having its, see, broke a piece of this. So this is the mushroom. Honestly, it only has one eye because I lost the other one. I used to make eyes and selling them, but this one, I don't know, it fell in a crack and I could never find it. And the thing has teeth. Talking about details. Has teeth, has nails, has grungy hands. But this is detail. It's something between a larva, a frog, and a human thing. But yeah, that is detail. Alrighty, let me finish my berries. Yeah, I liked so much how it came up that I never sold it. It's one of my things that I never sold. To be very honest, in okay, this one is too big. In sculpting polymer clay, the fact that I do have medical knowledge, and I used to be painting artist and studied a lot of anatomy and how the muscles look when they move and all that. Hold on, I need to refocus. But it is very important if you want to do something. I don't have, on a lot of my art dolls, I don't have photos to show because they were commissioned and the people did not want me to take photos of them because they didn't want them to be copied. And that makes sense. But the ones that I sold like that were all shown. And the thing that I had always had whenever I would start a sculpture, and I'm not talking about the commissioned ones, more of a let's see where this goes one. It always started taking a life of its own. Even if I had initially something in mind, it's like the clay wanted to be something else. You know, very weird. And yeah, in case you didn't know, I stopped doing art, making art dolls, because I have this twitch in my hands, and after I flung a couple of sculptures when they are almost, you always have to can do that. The techniques that I'm showing, remember that at the end of each of my tutorials it says to go ahead and copy it freely. Just don't try to, credit is appreciated, just don't try to show that you came up with that technique or start teaching it. That's my only thing. Otherwise, okay, so now we have some, and we can also make an apple. So once again, we're gonna get one thing, and I'm going to cut it in two. And you can do this, it's up to you, entirely up to you, if you want to do this with clay or if you want to do it with powders or acrylic. I'm just going to do it with clay because it's easier. They are all just miniatures, and you can actually, each of these miniatures, you can make them just them alone, you know, make tinier. But again, don't forget that I do have fall, and I'm just taking little bits of yellow. And I'm getting them on opposite sides of the bead. Just feather them in. And I'm going to go on the opposite side and do the same thing. Just you need to put very, very little. So I'm going here. Press first and then feather. You can feather both ways. And one more. And then just go again. Actually, I can, if you give me a second, and cut this first in two. Make sure that your yellow dots are towards the top. And let's put a little dab of bacon bond. Oops, that was not a little dab. And I dabbed where I shouldn't have. My hands are getting tired. And let's remove this really gently. Things happen. And someone once told me, oh, I love it that you show that you do make mistakes sometimes. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. Awesome. That's how I found an atlas, a crank one, at Goodwill one time for $5. brand new in the box. And let's place another apple here. And there we go. And you can add more stuff. I just showed you a few to show you how to make them. Yes, you can do white gourds. To make the white gourd, I would make like a quarter, like 1 part cadmium yellow, 3 parts translucent, and just a rice size of burnt sienna, you know. But yeah, I was going to show you, I think I showed some before, but just to not my videos, albums, I'll show you a few of my okay. So whatever I was selling, and it wasn't a commission, and it wasn't like that. So this is a mermaid. I have a $1 bill here to show the size. So, and I showed the whole process how I made it. And I did varnish it because I wanted her to look wet. I mean, she's laying in this big, if you can see here, this was filled with liquid clay to look like water, and I had some little crystals that were kind of iridescent. And this is a little lost fairy, pixie. And talking about details, see how here I have the little things that caterpillars sometimes have on their tail. This is a Hawaiian fairy with her snail. And this is the snail as I was working it. The shell is a real shell, and the pebbles are real pebbles. It's just, and you can see the size. And then that's another fairy. This one was a commission, but the lady didn't mind me posting photos. It's a ballerina fairy. And her hair is made out of feathers. This, I could only post this because the person who commissioned it, that was a male fairy, okay? The person who commissioned it didn't want me to post more stuff. And this, it was sold. I sold when I remember I told you that I still had I had an Etsy store until they changed the whole thing, and they brought is a little orc. And this is another fairy. Talking details. Working on it. This is before I added the hair. She was kind of flying the way that I got her to be. She was hanging on something. And this was Lorenzo, sold him. Was not a commission. And you can see all the details. Was generally OAK dolls, the art dolls are 8 inches at most. This is another little orc who hit his toe and is crying. You can see the toe is hit. But as I said, I didn't always take photos. These were my sleeping baby fairies. This is a quarter in a jar, so you can see how they looked like. And then I was making very pretty lids and stuff. And this is Ariel. This one also I didn't sell because I liked her too much. One of my favorites. And this is actual driftwood on which I sculpted some corals and stuff. That's another baby fairy. This one was a commission. Somebody sent me the photo of their newborn. They wanted the fairy done like him. This was a dragon. The Thing. This was a three-faced Hecate. This was an old witch. And these were the only photos that I could put up. And this is Tinkerbell, laughing Tinkerbell on her. I forgot how it's called. And that's another fairy that I couldn't post more photos of the foot, just elements. But yeah, that's. Oh, I wasn't showing you anything. Goodness gracious. God damn it. I didn't click properly. Yeah, I wish I wish you would. Okay, let me go again. Goodness gracious. I thought I see how my fingers and they get tired. So yeah, as I was saying, that's first a mermaid, how I was working it, and with a $1 bill, and I was showing the wet effect, her being in a big shell. The little fairy, pixie, sorry, lost pixie, begging. Goodness gracious, I cannot believe that. So this was the snail with the shell, is a real shell with the Hawaiian fairy. The size. That's another little fairy girl. But these were very small. As I said, this one was a little bit bigger. This is something that I couldn't post more than these photos because the person who commissioned it didn't want me to show more. It's a little orc and got sold. This is another fairy while I was working on her. I didn't have a good camera at the time. It wasn't, I mean, it was good but not very good for close-ups, you know. This is almost finished before I added the hair, and this is it with the hair. And this is Lorenzo, the boy fairy. And see, I used this concoction that's made out of a hanger. It's like a tripod with a line raised, so the doll hangs in the air while it's baking. And this is Lorenzo, almost finished. With all the details. And this is another little orc, as I was saying, who hurt his toe and is crying. I think I had a close-up of him crying. Yeah, see, he's crying. And then the sleeping baby fairies. This is a quarter there in the jar. That was making pretty jar lids and stuff. And this is Ariel, and I was saying I didn't sell her because I liked her just too much. Okay. And these are more baby fairies. I was saying that this one, they sent me the photo. Let me make sure that I'm showing this to you. Yes, I do. As a dragon, it's the beginning of the sculpting of the dragon, a baby dragon actually. And this is working of the thing. And this was a hag. But again, this is the only photo I could post. And Tinkerbell, she was a commission, but the lady didn't mind me posting photos. Laughing Tinkerbell. And that was the last one, another fairy that was commissioned. But these are the only photos I could post of her. Okay. There we go. Let's get back to I am so sorry. But yeah, I cannot do those fairy dolls and the mermaids and stuff very well anymore, because as I said, those actually require a lot of stages, like a lot of baking. You work on something and you rebake, you work on something and you rebake, you work on something and you rebake. And it happened several times that as I was focusing, I had the hand twitch and just did this, and I flung it across the room. And it got destroyed. And I had to remove what I was working on and do it again, and then do it again, and then I did that again. And now I am still sometimes sculpting, but not very often, because as I said, and I'll have to get my fish tank, I call it, out of the garage again, because when I worked on these polymer clay sculptures, in order to have no dust and no hairs and no anything, I had made a thing out of acrylic sheets, kind of like a fish tank, but with a hinge that I could remove, open the top and put it back, and with holes for my arms on the side, and I would work inside that to minimize dust and particles of dirt and hairs and whatever getting on my sculpture. And then when I started having issues with seeing, I put that thing in the garage, and I never went back to get it, even when so that's why the whole twitching is. But I think that the twitching will mess it up even in the box, because maybe it wouldn't be flung so far, but it would still be a lot of force. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. And as I said, you can make, like, for example, I showed you how to do the cone on the cob. You can make them a little bit bigger, like 2 inches, and just make each of them one earring, and just put one of those eye screws to attach it to a ear wire. And you can do the same for the pumpkins. And remember, let me get here to make sure there we go. I have the how to make kawaii Halloween beads. It is, let me share it. And it's not just for Halloween, actually. Some of them you can make them for fall, Thanksgiving, or whatever. But I had a live that was, let me see, 2019. And I made quite a bit of little, you know, I made ghosts, I made the mummy, and I also made pumpkins, cute pumpkins, and candy corn. Let me see, let me try and find the other ones, try and find the image. Here you go, this is a pumpkin, I think. If YouTube will dare to show it. Come on. There you go. That's a little cute pumpkin. Cute, scary pumpkin. Okay. Let me see. This was the cute candy corn. Come on, YouTube. There we go. So it's number 639. So I guess if you would search kawaii Halloween 639, you should be able to find this. Right? So anyway, I hope you liked this and you will try, because there's another one I did before with the kawaii little ghost earrings that we did. So you have a good Sunday. And I don't know, in my area there was nobody at the door last evening, so I don't know if they're gonna come tonight. But it's an area where there's not a lot of kids except for my neighbor. Screaming kids. But I don't know, you have a good Halloween evening, even if Halloween is tomorrow. And enjoy the time of fall, and don't eat too much candy. Have a wonderful week to come. I love you all. Thank you for being here with me. Goodbye.